Is Bitcoin bad because it's not private? Is that a weakness and a vulnerability, having a transparent public ledger? That's what a lot of proponents of privacy coins would like you to think, and today we're going to be looking at a case study of why that's not entirely accurate. And it involves Zcash. So, to begin, for 4 years, someone could have been printing unlimited, undetectable Zcash. And we'll never know for sure whether they did or not because investigators haven't looked hard enough, but because the system was actually designed that way. And I'm going to tell you what happened, how a 4-year-old bug sat inside one of the most reviewed code bases in crypto without anyone finding it, and what it shows about the fundamental tension at the heart of privacy coins. So back in April of this year, a nonprofit called Shielded Labs hired a security researcher named Taylor Hornby specifically to hunt for protocol vulnerabilities before malicious actors would find them. And on May 29th, Hornby was doing a targeted review of Zcash's Orchard shielded pool, working with Claude Opus 4.8, and he found something serious, a critical flaw in the zero-knowledge proof circuit at the heart of Orchard. He didn't just find it theoretically, he built a working exploit in a local test environment. And when pointed at Zcash's mainnet, that exploit would have generated unlimited, undetectable counterfeit ZEC directly into his wallet. And that bug had been sitting there since Orchard launched in May of 2022. So for 4 years, engineers shipped an emergency fix by June 2nd. Now, the team here did act responsibly. Hornby reported it privately, and the developers confirmed it, patched it, and then disclosed it publicly. In the world of crypto security, that response is actually above average. And that part of the story is fine, but the problem isn't the response or how it was fixed. The problem is that what the bug revealed about the system underneath it. So with Bitcoin, a bug like this would be bad, but ultimately answerable still. The supply is public, every coin that exists is verifiable by anyone running a node, and if someone printed extra coins, the ledger wouldn't add up and anyone could check that. With Zcash's Orchard pool, there's no cryptographic way to prove whether this vulnerability was ever exploited during the 4 years it existed. The fix addressed the future, but the doubt about the past is permanent. About 4.2 million Zcash, roughly 25% of the circulating supply, sat inside that Orchard pool. And to understand why the question is unanswerable, you need to know a little bit about how Zcash works. Zcash uses something called zero-knowledge proofs that let you prove that a transaction is valid without revealing any of the underlying data. And that's the privacy that Zcash is selling, always has been. You can send Zcash without anyone seeing the sender, the receiver, or the amount. But that same mechanism is actually why no one can audit what happened inside of Orchard during those 4 years. The privacy is not a bug, it's a feature, and that feature is what makes the supply question permanently open. Here's the market reaction. Zcash was trading above 600 earlier in the week, during the week when the bug was found. After the disclosure, it fell roughly 45%, wiping about $3 billion from the market cap in a single day. And Zcash had been one of the only major cryptocurrencies holding up during a broad market sell-off. It had gained more than 750% over the past year, benefiting from growing interest in financial privacy tools as surveillance pressure increased globally. And this has always been a concern, by the way, that has been mentioned by multiple people. I know Saifuddin Amus, among others, have mentioned the fact that, hey, privacy is cool and all, but when it comes to money, you need to have a verifiable supply. We can't ever know exactly how many Zcash are out there because it's private. And it's really interesting that this exploit has been found, because it's not about whether the exploit has been taken advantage of or whether it was, or if the vulnerability is still there or not. None of that matters, because it exposes the fact that you can't ever know. No one's ever going to know if somebody out there printed 1 trillion Zcash and held it for themselves now. We can't know. And that's the flaw with all of these privacy coins. So the market didn't punish Zcash for being hacked. It's not like anything was stolen. No funds were confirmed missing, which I don't know how you could even confirm that with the privacy coin, but the market punished Zcash for being unknowable, and there's a difference there. Hacks get fixed, but trust around supply integrity, once that's broken, it's a much harder thing to rebuild. So what comes next for Zcash? Well, Shielded Labs is working with developers on a network upgrade. Plan is to create a new shielded pool and use what they're calling turnstile accounting to move coins out of Orchard in a way that would let users verify no counterfeit Zcash made it through. So you have to kind of laugh at that one, right? I mean, they're working on a fix that would let people take out their privacy coins in a way that would let people know that the ledger is actually valid in a way. So to keep a privacy coin alive, and maybe they're doing it, I don't know exactly how they're doing it. Maybe it's with a zero knowledge proof where none of the actual data is revealed. But you have to admit that it's kind of ironic, right? Kind of funny that you build this whole privacy coin, pump it up with this huge narrative of it's so much better and more secure, and then turns out that's the actual thing that makes it vulnerable. But anyway, that's a serious proposal worth watching, requires community consensus and governance vote and broad user adoption. None of that's fast, none of it's guaranteed, but that's the case with Bitcoin or anything else too, so you can't fault them for that. The developers have done a lot of things right to the best of their ability. They hired a researcher proactively. He found something real, and they fixed it quickly and told the public. And there's something to be said about that. Good on them. Plenty of projects have done far worse when something like that surfaces. But again, that's not even really the problem. The problem is more structural. It's just in how these coins are designed. Whereas Bitcoin's transparent supply ledger has taken a lot of criticism over the years. Like I mentioned, there's no privacy, anyone can see wallet balances, and on an individual level, those criticisms do have some merit, admittedly. But what the Zcash situation makes undeniable is that supply transparency is an important thing. It's make or break. It's what lets every person on Earth verify independently that no one has cheated the system. No announcement required, no trust in a developer team. You run a node and you know. It's that simple. Zcash's privacy model made that kind of verification impossible by design. Investors now find themselves in a position where no one can independently verify the integrity of the supply. And it's always been that way, by the way. It was like that before. It's just that this bug exposed it and made everyone realize that is really the case. And that's not a temporary problem you can patch away. It's baked into the architecture. Bitcoin's 20 million cap is provable right now by anyone. And that verifiability isn't some consolation prize for giving up privacy. It's the whole point of a sound money system. If you can't verify the supply, you can't trust the money. And that rule doesn't bend for good intentions or sophisticated cryptography either. That's going to do it for this one. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment below in terms of what you think about Zcash and this whole situation. And I'll see you in the next one.